Good morning. My name is Carissa Tucker. So the purpose of this reflection assignment is to investigate and evaluate the meaning of dreams and the grieving process and how to relate them to grief counseling. I will be referring to Warden's book, Grief Counseling and Grief Therapy, a handbook for the mental health practitioner, and also a few other outside sources to support this reflection. First, let me talk to you. Let me share with you about the 4 tasks of mourning. I will identify and describe them according to the list Warden shared in his book. Sometimes the bereaved dream of their lost loved ones as still alive, only to wake up and realize that they are not coming back. It is here where the individual is suffering from the first task of mourning, which is to accept and make that loss real. As we move on to the second task of mourning, in where we process that grief and allowing those feelings to be processed, it is here where the dreams could help the patient resolve feelings of guilt, of anger, of even anxiety. These feelings have manifested to a larger scale than normal and can impair the functioning of the bereaved person, as Warden shares. Now, regarding the third task of mourning, which is adjusting to the world without the deceased, mourners who struggle with these, with many problems to be solved, could benefit from receiving advice from the other side, that is in the dream world. In addition, Warden supports the idea of using dreams for meaning making, which helps the bereaved make sense of the loss. And finally, the fourth and last task of mourning, the bereaved can find themselves stuck and not able to move forward with their life without the deceased. Warden says that these dreams can play an important role in this task, since many mourners have a strong wish to know that their loved one is fine and they're all right, and the use of bereavement dreams can assist with this. Now, let's move on to, in considering these tasks of mourning mentioned and their connection to dreams, it was enlightening to read through it. I actually have always felt that dreams do have a deeper meaning. Sometimes they can mean something in real life. And it was outstanding to discover dream therapy from Adela Vina's findings in her dissertation exploring the role of bereavement dreams among bereaved adults, a qualitative inquiry. Now, in her study, she discovered several results, but I would like to point out 3 that stood out to me. First, she says reflecting on one's bereavement dreams during the study itself allowed individuals to gain insight into their loss as well as get in touch with their feelings. Secondly, the bereavement dreaming experience provided participants a chance to communicate what was needed and to aid in the mourning process. And thirdly, the changing nature of the content of the bereavement dreams appears to facilitate movement through the mourning process. The study was based on 10 bereaved adults, 25 years of age and older. But as you can clearly see, and as I was discovering through this study, there's actually dream therapy can actually assist those who have lost their loved ones. I will now move on to a case study. Warden shares one in chapter 10. It's grief sketch number 3. And it is about a 38-year-old woman who is single and who continues to have dreams about her stepfather who suddenly died of a heart attack. He both physically and sexually abused her from the age of 3 to 17 and is troubled as to why she continues having these dreams about him. It is troubling to her because she was relieved to finally be free of him and wonders why he is extending or outstretching his arms, as it says there, in her dreams. If I were to apply dream therapy on this patient, I would revisit task number 4. That's the first one that kind of comes to my mind because she's struggling to go on with life without the deceased, as Worden articulates in his book. Since his presence reappears in her dreams, there is something deep within her that she desires, yet cannot articulate in the real world. Freeman and Wright shared from their journal, Dreams and the Dream Image, using dreams in cognitive therapy, saying this, quote from them, "The basic premise of Freud's early lectures on dreams and his later elaborations through several editions of his classic volume, Interpretations of Dreams, written in 1909, was that the dream involved wish fulfillment." I'm going to come back to wish fulfillment. "The dream became the pathway used by the individual to satisfy the unrestricted demands and desires of the id." I'll also come back to what the id is. "Thereby allowing accumulated energies to be discharged. The dream became the way of fulfilling desires that could not otherwise be fulfilled during the waking life for a number of reasons." This was shared back in 2002. According to simplypsychology.org, because I wanted to know a little bit more about the id, I had forgotten about that. The id is part of the unconscious that contains all the urges and impulses, including what is called the libido, a kind of generalized sexual energy that is used for everything from survival instincts to the appreciation of art. And that was found in 2023, so that's a current finding there. Although it may sound far-fetched, Freeman and Wright make a valid point using Freud's definition of dreams. It can be understood that dreams can be a way to complete the longings and help materialize it in real life. Of course, this all depends on a variety of circumstances and variables. More so, Freud mentioned wish fulfillment, which can be gathered and interpreted from the patient's deep desires in their dreams and in her dreams regarding her stepfather. Now, in my opinion, her wish is for her to have had a loving father who cared for her as any father should be. I would gently bring this to the surface to bring closure to the father that she never had and never would have, and a recognition to accept this reality as hard as it is to accept. By using dream therapy, it would allow me to help the patient come to a realization of this hold that she has in desiring a loving father, which is causing the impasse, as Worden shares. Until this is not accepted, the hurt, confusion, and pain will persist or even get worse. Now, on the other hand, I did take it from another direction, and her father outstretching his arms to her in the dream could mean she is still haunted by him and still thinks about him and all the hurt he caused her all those years and cannot let go of it even though he has passed. So this would be accepting his death. That is accepting the death, the reality of his death, which would be the first task of mourning. And then after she comes to that realization of that reality, then moving on to task number 2 of processing through that grief of that hurt of what her father caused to her all those years. And then finally she can move forward accepting that he is removed, he is no longer a part of her life, and she can move on to task number 3. Now these are just my thoughts and reflections, obviously, hence the report, but those are just my takes on what I believe the grief sketch number 3 is about. Well, thank you so much for your time and for listening to my thoughts and dreams on grief therapy. I did mention several sources as well, and at Worden's book as well, from Della Vinna and from Freeman and Wright, and from McLeod, who wrote on the Simply Psychology as well. Thank you for your time.